Looking for answers to the unknown? Welcome to Live with Medium Lisa Phoenix and step into the magical presence of the metaphysical realm. Lisa will share the wisdom and musings from her own experiences, have intriguing conversations with other mediums and healers, in addition to exploring a wide array of topics and teachings on intuitive and mediumship development. Lisa will be taking your calls and inviting your friends and loved ones in the spirit world to share their stories with us. Raise your awareness as you are reunited on the level of love, and let's go live with Medium Lisa Phoenix.
Hello, everybody. It's a great day in Southern California. Welcome to the Live with Lisa Phoenix radio show. I'm Lisa Phoenix, your host, a medium and energy intuitive. My show is all about healing, mediumship, and energy management. And my special guest this morning is Minister Matthew Smith, spiritual medium and tutor at the Arthur Findlay College of Mediumship in Stansted, England. We're going to talk about trance mediumship today, and since the station is currently working on the call-in feature for the show, if you want to share some of your own challenges or ask questions, please go to my Facebook page, Lisa Phoenix Live, and post your questions, and we will do our best to address them while we're on the air. If you want further information about the Live with Lisa Phoenix radio show, please visit my page on OMTimes on the OMTimes radio site at Lisa Phoenix hosts. Now let's talk about Minister Matthew Smith. Matthew Smith was born in Staffordshire, England. He has always been aware of spirit. In childhood, he would often talk to his spirit friends who guided him and his family through some difficult times. Matthew did not see or hear in the objective form. His visions were in the mind. Later in life, when posed with the question to spirit, he was told that because he was epileptic as a child, the subjective form of communication was the only way the links could be transferred. From the age of 6, the epilepsy seemed to disappear, much to the amazement of the medical profession. Spirit intervention? Possibly. However, the vision still continued in the same manner. Matthew spent 3 years at drama school where he made his own puppet theater and played at children's parties and corporate events. The training at drama school and the years of working with the children has helped Matthew with his mediumship. Years later, he is now a tutor at this renowned college where people from all over the world come for tutoring. Matthew's approach to mediumship is direct, at times tinged with humor, but the techniques used in training will help you understand the truth in your own potential and abilities, which are your birthright. Matthew is a member of the Spiritualist National Union, and his work takes him all over the UK, as well as Europe, Australia, New Zealand, and America, giving demonstrations of survival publicly and privately in private sittings. Also workshops showing the individual how they can develop their own potential, particularly with aspects of trance mediumship. Please visit Matthew's website at www.matthewinspires, MATTHEWINSPIRES.co.uk. So, Matthew, so happy to have you with us.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning or good evening.
Well, good evening for me. Good evening for me, morning for you, and any time for everybody else is.
Right. Hey, before we really get started here, I also wanted to let people know that they can visit your Facebook page, which is...
It's just Matthew Smith.
Okay, perfect. Okay. Yeah. So
if you just put in Matthew Smith.
Perfect. So Matthew, since we're going to be talking about trance today, and for those people who may not actually know what trance is, can you explain it to us all?
Okay. Well, in America, you would know it. You would know this as channeling.
Gotcha.
In the development of the trance states, we have to be very mindful that anyone can have an overactive imagination.
Mm-hmm.
And there are times when people are developing this form of mediumship that you see that it is not a discarnate, that means someone in the spirit world, personality working through the medium. It's actually what we call a pseudo personality, which means a personality that the individual's made up.
Gotcha. But there's also they also have it though where there's inspirational speaking from one's like higher self, correct?
Yes, it starts off at the point of inspiration, and if you look at the word inspiration, if you split it up, if you in, and then more or less that's in spirit, and not exactly, but that if you look at the spelling of it, in spirit. So it's the starting point is the inner self, and most of your listeners will have had experience where they've been on perhaps the telephone, talking to friends, or they've been perhaps standing at a bus stop and somebody comes up and tells them a story, and information or thoughts come to the individual's mind, which they just pass on, and they think afterwards, well, where did that come from? It's inspiration.
Gotcha. So now, can you explain the whole concept of whether it is trance or channeling, or just explain it like what it is and what happens? And
okay, well, what we're looking for, if someone is developing this form of mediumship, what we're looking for is an intelligence behind that of the medium. So in the beginning, it will be an inspirational, very light state. So as this power develops, it will be a guide who will be working through that medium, through their mind. Trance is called mental mediumship. I will keep referring it to as trance rather than trance or channeling.
Okay.
And as this power deepens, as the link with the spirit world becomes stronger, the terminology will change, the voice pattern may change, the opinions may be different to that of the guide who's speaking, to that of the mediums. And when the medium has developed to a point, we would call it a controlled state. That means the spirit intelligence is in control of the mind. The medium is still in control, of course, because they can stop this at any time. But no harm is ever going to come to anyone. There is a school of thought, you shouldn't sit for trance because it can harm you. I mean, some of the best teachings of spiritualism was brought through mediums like Maurice Barbanel, through the teachings of Silver Birch, Estelle Roberts, whose guide was known as Red Cloud.
Yes.
And also Ursula Roberts, whose spirit guide was given the name of Ramadan. And these personalities give very clear instructions and teaching about the other world and how the philosophy of spiritualism can help individuals in their daily lives. So the trance work in speaking will offer guidance. It will offer philosophical thoughts. It will offer direction to people. It will never tell people what to do because the spirit world cannot interfere with our lives.
Right.
They will give advice, but they will never tell us you must do this or you must do that or you shouldn't do this or you shouldn't do that. So it comes in three different forms. One is speaking, which I've just mentioned.
Yes.
The second is healing, trance healing.
Yes.
And the third is trance communication. Now, would you like me to explain those two?
Yes, I would, actually. I really do.
Okay, so with trance communication, what will happen with trance communication is the medium will go into that what we call altered state of awareness, and the guide of the medium will talk about the sitter, that's the person who's having the reading, about their relatives in the spirit world. So it will be direct, it will be precise, there will not be any questions, They say, for example, the guide through the medium would say, we've got your mum with us. Her name is Grace. She used to live in Ohio. She's got 3 children. You're one of her daughters. It's like that. It's direct.
Okay.
There are no questions. They're all statements.
Gotcha. So it's actually the guide that's coming through and not the loved one?
It can happen in 2 ways.
Okay.
It can happen if your friends want to study the mediumship of Ina Twigg. Ina Twigg was a trance medium in the UK, and she did have occasions where the loved ones would speak directly to their loved ones through her, and that is another way. The medium is put in a state of entrancement.
Mm-hmm.
So the medium will have a recollection of what's being said. The medium, because it's only a very light state generally.
Gotcha.
So it can happen in one of those 2 forms. If your listeners want to look at very good examples of trance communication, if they go on YouTube and they can see Gordon Higginson, that's
right.
Higginson, demonstrate his trance mediumship through communication, and his guide was an Irishman who was given the name of Paddy, who gave the name of Paddy. And I've seen many demonstrations of his personally, not just on YouTube.
Right.
I was privileged to be present when he was teaching at the college, and his mediumship was phenomenal.
Oh, that's wonderful.
But in the trance state, it was even stronger.
I'm sure.
There was a presence, you see. And with trance healing, what happens with trance healing is the energy that the spirit world work with.
Hold on, Matthew, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but we have to have a commercial break. So when we come back, will you explain to us the trance healing? Yeah. Everybody, you're live with Lisa Phoenix and my special guest, Minister Matthew Smith. We're talking about trance. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
The cutting edge of conscious radio, OMTimes Radio, IOM FM. Join Elliot Jollish, the business therapist, each Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern for the Elliot Jollish Hour, as he interviews business experts on your behalf. And you're invited to email your business questions to questions@ecjgroup.com for answers, live, on air every Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern on the Elliot Jollish Hour. Host your show on IOM FM, the radio network of OMTimes Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of OMTimes. Hosting a show on IOM FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community. Are you trying to get from point A to point B and need a little advice? Connect with the counselors at OMTimes Advisors. Whether you're looking for a life coach or a spiritual intuitive, the advisors participating at advisors.omtimes.com were carefully chosen based on their gifts, skills, and professionalism. OMTimes Advisors, connecting you with the best advisors in the business.
Hi, this is Sylvia Henderson, intuitive life coach and energy healer. Are you ready to elevate and rise way above your normal? Be sure to listen to my show, Intuitive Transformations, on OMTimes Radio, Sunday evenings at 9 p.m. Eastern. Get the inspiration you need to transform your life.
Free your mind with OMTimes Radio, IOM FM.
Welcome back, everybody. You're live with Lisa Phoenix and my special guest, Minister Matthew Smith. Matthew, before we go on and talk about trance healing, I just wanted to ask a question. When you said you were talking about Gordon's trance state, and you said that you really felt a presence, right?
Yeah.
Was he like so developed that it was kind of like one of those things where the presence was like a lot stronger than, say, with other trance?
Okay.
Do you understand what I'm trying to ask?
Yeah. With inspiration, of course, which is the very light state, it's not going to be as evident.
Right.
Obviously, the more the medium sits for their development, the stronger the power from the other world is going to become. And then this presence, well, it's just there in the room. It's very difficult to put into words.
Okay.
But you can feel it. You can feel the love of the other world in what they say and the information that they are bringing forward.
Wonderful.
Because it's right to be skeptical. You know, people must be skeptical because we are dealing with vulnerable people.
Right.
But when you've got someone in a state of trance who doesn't know the person they're sitting with, and they can talk about their loved ones as though they are in the room, which they are in the room,
right,
and give, evidence, and I mean real evidence, that are in statements. They're not questions. They're not. Then it's not cold reading. You know.
Yes.
Yes. You're taken, the trance state, really, as an observer. It takes you into that other world because one's in awe of the things that they are able to bring through.
Yes.
So and an actor, you see, I was at drama school, and no one was more skeptical than me with this, because I went to drama school, I trained for the stage, I did some acting work, I did some theatre work, and then I ended up with that puppet theatre to get me work, because the theatrical world is so precarious.
Yes.
So when this trance developed for me, I thought this must be a pseudo-personality. But of course, time showed that it wasn't.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
No, go ahead. I was going to say, okay, now on to explaining trance healing.
Yeah, okay. Well, there's lots of different healing methods out there, which your listeners will be aware of. And it's all coming from the spirit world, whether the individual recognizes it or not. And trance healing the medium is basically in a deeper stage of what we would call attunement. So the medium is less aware of themselves, and the guide, the inspirers, the spirit team that work with that medium are much more closer within that medium's auric field. The aura, as you know, is an energy field that surrounds each person, and it's got many different levels within it. And these spirit personalities operate through that. It's the doorway. The aura is the doorway between the conscious mind and the spirit self.
Yes.
And when that blending takes place, the patient generally will feel energy inside their body. Now, gotcha. I was working in Italy a few months ago, and this lady had an arthritic lump on her finger. And the spirit doctor that worked with me at that particular time I placed my hand on her hand. The connection was made, and at about the end of 20 minutes, that arthritic lump had gone.
Wow.
And that is trance healing. If people study Harry Edwards was a remarkable medium, and when he demonstrated, people would go to his demonstrations and sit on the platform that had obvious physical difficulties. One of thousands and thousands of testimonies was a boy who was deaf, and he sat on the chair. Edwards just placed his hands over the boy's ears. The healing was finished, after which Edwards clicked his fingers and the boy turned around because he heard it.
Wow.
And this healing is there. Obviously, it does not take the place of orthodox medicine.
Of course.
People still have to go and see their doctor. They still have to have orthodox treatment. It's there as a complementary.
So is trance healing, it's done both, it can be done both in person, and can it be done distantly, or?
Yes, I have someone at the moment who I'm trying to help. This boy has, well, I won't say what his condition is, but we're trying to help in that regard, and we're in regular contact with the mother who's giving updates.
Gotcha.
So we call that distant healing.
Gotcha. Now, I want to get back to you, Matthew. How did trance start with you?
When I was a child, I had an awareness of the spirit, and I just used to talk to them.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know, my mother thought I was just in a world of imagination.
Right.
But I was now what we would term entranced.
Gotcha.
I would be talking to them. They wouldn't be talking to me.
Okay.
And then many years later, I used to go to this spiritualist church in Southampton where I live. And these many different mediums were telling me that there was an elderly Chinese man who was a guide of mine, and I didn't believe it. Mm-hmm. Because I thought, well, what would a Chinese man want with me? You know, the closest I get to Chinese is a chop suey or something. Right. So, I really thought all these mediums knew each other, and it was a con.
Oh, you know? Okay, yeah.
I really did. I was so skeptical about it all, but I think that was a good thing. When I think back, that was a good thing because it made me a stronger medium.
Right.
You know, and one day I was basically just. I was on the phone to a friend, and I was just doodling on some paper, you know, and I drew Chinese letters, and I didn't know what they were. So I said to the spirit, "What should I do with this?" And the spirit said to me, "Do what you want," because that's how they speak to me. Mm-hmm. They don't speak to me, "Oh, divine beloved one." Well, I mean, they wouldn't, because that's not my way, you know. Right. Anyway, there was a Chinese takeaway up the road from where we lived, and I took it in there. I said, I did tell a lie. I said to the guy, "I found this on the floor outside." And he said it wasn't his, and I said, "Well, what does it mean anything?" He said, "Yes, it says Ling Chan, and that is the name. That is the name of this particular guide."
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Lingchan. And that was the name that some mediums had given me. Well, you know, my handwriting's not great in English, but then I can't write Chinese. But the spirit people showed me because I needed to see.
Right.
And then not long after that, he actually showed himself to me in daylight through a medium. I saw him in daylight.
Oh, wonderful. Now, is that I mean, that was the start of it becoming real for you.
Yeah.
But then how did I'm sure you moved, how did trance itself become real? Did you have several experiences that were?
Well, I had a circle and people sat for me.
Gotcha.
For about 2 years. People would sit for me on a regular basis, and different guides would come and speak through me. Sometimes nothing would happen. Sometimes you just sit and they would just be what we call a blending take place. And then when my active mediumship began to work, that's working as a platform medium,
right,
you know, giving evidence of survival, etc., through clairvoyance, clairaudience, and clairsentience. The trance then came later on. Although I did at the beginning spend a brief time working in healing, but the spirit world have led me in all different avenues. But the trance side really is, well, I would say it's the most purest form of mental mediumship. Purist in the sense, because the medium, when it's working properly, the medium is not involved.
Right.
The medium is passive.
Right.
Totally passive.
Right. And so your mental came, you had a group, right, that people used to sit for you, but that your mental came first, right? And then your trance?
Yeah, in the beginning, healing. It was healing in the beginning.
Okay.
Then it went into development group.
Gotcha.
Then it went into the demonstrating aspect, the active mediumship, and then this circle started. But I was still doing the active mediumship because I believe the active mediumship has to function before the trance.
Gotcha. No, and I think this is really important. That's why I was kind of pressing this so that people could understand how it kind of progresses. Now, I know it's not a rule, but just to give people an idea that so it's usually first your mental and then trance comes in, right?
Yeah. I mean, there's always the exception to the rule.
Of course.
There always is. But I do meet in my teaching capacity a lot of people that run to trance mediumship because they think they're not responsible. You know, they're not responsible for what they do. They say, well, I didn't say that, the guy did. But they don't. Yeah, but they don't understand the power's got to be there before anything can happen.
Yes, and you need to develop that power.
Yeah, and you've got to do a lot of work on yourself.
Right.
You've got to do a lot of self-work. You know, trance isn't, I always say to people, it's not about shutting your eyes and becoming somebody else.
Right.
It's, you know, it's more than that. And the purpose of it, the Spirit will tell us that the purpose of it, whether it's speaking, communication...
Hold that thought, Matt. Yeah, hold that thought, Matthew, because I want to hear this when we come back. You're live with Medium Lisa Phoenix and my special guest, Minister and Medium Matthew Smith. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
The Real Conscious Connection. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
If you remember living fearlessly, joyfully, and in a world filled with adventure, happiness, pleasure, and unbridled living, then this show is for you. Join me, Dame Nicole Brandon, as I bring you the world's top experts in wealth, creativity, flow, seat-edging technology, space, wellness, health, love, lust, and passion, all merging together each week here at the Hub of Happiness. Mondays at 6 p.m. Pacific Time and 9 p.m. Eastern Time on Passionate Living, where you can ride on the magic carpet ride of living and learn how to lead a passionately wild, exciting, and outrageously amazing life.
Being a radio host on IOM FM allows you to build your show on a rich platform with the power of the internet to fulfill your outreach goals and connect with a very specialized and global online audience, unlimited by time and distance. OMTimes Radio will provide you with web relevance, a recognizable conscious brand, and with the standard of excellence that has accompanied every single OMTimes endeavor. Host your show with OMTimes Radio Network. As difficult as it is to believe, there are places in Africa where human traffickers sell albino children and their body parts for use in magic rituals. Humanity Healing International is actively working in Uganda to change this paradigm. The Albino Rescue Project finds albino children who are at risk and places them in safe schools and environments where they can learn and grow free from fear. To learn more or to sponsor a child, visit humanityhealing.org. Humanity Healing is where your heart is.
Looking for inspiration?
Want to be inspired?
Not sure where to go?
Find Mark and Kim every Wednesdays at 3 p.m. Eastern on Inspired Living.
Topics will elevate consciousness and range from metaphysics to the human and social experience and all things spiritual.
Welcome to an inspired community that offers support, encouragement, and new ways of thinking. You are the inspired and the inspiration.
The best of holistic, spiritual, and conscious world. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Welcome back, everybody. You're live with Lisa Phoenix and my special guest, minister and medium Matthew Smith. Matthew, when we went on commercial break, you were just talking about the actual purpose of trance.
Yeah. Okay, so the purpose of it is when the medium is working, shall we say, normally in the active state of mind. So
yes,
the medium's partly conscious. With the trance state, the medium's mind is suppressed, and so the intelligence of the spirit world is superior. And so anything to do with the trance work, when it's done properly, has to be superior to that of if the medium is working in a conscious state. Have I made that clear?
Yeah, again, maybe you just want to explain what superior is for
superior,
us.
More precise.
Gotcha, and more
present,
precise, more
right? Direct.
Gotcha.
Pardon?
And more present?
Yeah, more present, more direct.
Gotcha.
We've all seen mediums when they're not sure and they're working and they ask a question. Or they would say things like, there's a name begins with an A. Well, I mean, it could be anything, couldn't it?
Right.
So, but in the trance state, the spirit would say through the medium, we've got your mother here. Her name is Alice.
Gotcha.
And she lived here and she did this and she remembers this and she remembers that. And the medium, of course, will have no prior knowledge.
Exactly. Yes.
So that's the purpose. It's more defined.
Gotcha.
But it takes a long time to develop. A long time.
So, okay. And then again, you said it's not just about developing the skills. It's also about developing oneself.
Yes. You've got to do a lot of work on self, because you see the auric field, which is this energy field that surrounds you or anybody else as a person, it reflects who you are. So, if you can't be spiritual on a Monday and a heathen the other 6 days of the week, because that's going to reflect in the auric field.
Exactly.
So the more spiritually aware. This is my theory.
Yes.
I've not been told this by the spirit world, but I believe the more spiritually aware you are as an individual, the more pure your mediumship will become.
Gotcha.
And you begin to look at situations with the eyes of your own spirit. You listen with the ears of your own spirit. You try not to be judgmental. You try not to be negative. Right. Ursula Roberts would, when she was working at the college, if anyone was talking negatively around her while she was eating her whatever meal she'd be eating, she would put her knife and fork down and refuse to eat.
Really?
Yeah, because she believed, and I'm beginning to follow this train of thought, if people are talking in a negative fashion, well, speech is an energy, and that's in the atmosphere. Well, that could go into your food.
Oh, yes.
So, I mean, that's a bit of a mind-blowing one, isn't it? But that's what she believed. And it's the same, sorry, going off topic a bit, but I mean, it's the same with the food we eat. If that animal has died in trauma, are we eating trauma?
True.
Yeah.
And I also get a lot of times, I think one of the first things spirit does when you start doing this work is they start kind of removing old people and bringing new people in. to your life. And I think that's partly energetically as well.
That can happen. You could be, and I've seen people that have also been on the path and they've been spiritually friends for years, and then something happens and they split.
Yeah.
They go their own way. But the all mediumship, whether it's in the active state or the passive state, you're in a state of entrancement.
Yeah.
All mediumship.
Right. Do you want to maybe dive a little bit further into defining the state of entrancement? Because, we've talked about computers. We've talked about a lot of different things.
Yeah. Yes. Well, at the computer, I mean, we all do it. We can go on the computer and you can lose an hour on the computer, because although you're not being in a state of entrancement from the spirit world's point of view, the computer has put the individual in the state of entrancement because they've lost a sense of time.
Gotcha. And that makes a lot of sense. And some of us can just go in a state of entrancement sitting in our own living rooms.
You can daydream. Yeah. And daydream, you can focus on with your eyes open. You can focus on a flower and look at the beauty of that flower and its formation. And when you're in that higher state of being, you'll see the color much more clearly than you would if you were in the conscious state of being, because you're seeing it with the eyes of your own spirit.
Gotcha. No, that makes a lot of sense. Go ahead.
So it's far more. There's far more to the trance work. Far more than people understand from just seeing people sitting in a chair and pretending, because there's a lot of that. And I'm not setting myself up as an authority when I say that, but there's a lot of rubbish that is talked about.
Gotcha. Let me ask you a question then. Is there a way for people to, and especially beginners who don't have a lot of experience, is there a way for people to know the difference? If
it's real or not?
Yeah.
Yeah, by what they feel.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So if someone says they're in an altered state of awareness, but what's been spoken about is absolute drivel and nonsense, and it's not rational, or it's not making sense, or they're shouting, or they're acting like a child, for example. I mean, that's a classic one, when people become children, Oh,
really?
It's a pseudo personality in a lot of cases.
Gotcha. And it's funny too, because I've actually known some people who actually they go into these other personalities, but they actually really believe.
Yeah.
That.
And then you've got to be very careful with that, because that might not be deliberate fraud.
That's what I mean. Yeah, they actually believe.
It might not be deliberate fraud. It can be delusion.
Gotcha.
And it's very difficult to break delusion.
Gotcha. And I would also think too, because I've seen it where I also think too, if somebody's in a state of trance, they're not going to say stuff that's going to put people in a state of fear.
Oh, never. Then that is the medium.
Gotcha.
That is something from their own subconscious mind. No, never. They will never say anything that will bring fear. They will never say anything that's going to cause anyone any harm. They are bringing intelligent information that can be verified there and then, particularly in the state of communication. We've done experiments where we've said to people, okay, the medium's not been in the room. This has happened to me. I've not been in the room. Mm-hmm. And we've asked people to formulate a question to the spirit world. They would then come and get me. So, I'm not standing outside the door listening.
Right.
They'll then come and get me. I'll go in the room, go into a state of trance. The spirit will speak through me. The helper will make himself known and talk. and will answer the question. Well, and that hasn't been voiced to me.
Right.
So you see that also proves an intelligence.
Exactly. And I think, just as you were saying, in order to do that and to get to that level, again, I really want to emphasize that it takes spending a lot of time with spirit, do you know, and learning how to kind of, to kind of be together with them.
You've got to have a balance in your life. Because if you don't have a balance, you then become imbalanced. And you eventually, as this develops, you discover that it is a part of your life. It is not your life. It is an aspect. When I'm shopping, I'm shopping. When I'm driving the car, I'm driving the car. You know, when I'm working, and if I'm giving a healing session, then obviously I'm in that trance healing mode. It's not something that you actually live and breathe 24/7. That's when mental health issues could begin.
Right, and people just end up drained all the time, you know.
Well, if they're working with the spirit world, they'll never be drained.
Exactly.
But if they're working with this pseudo stuff or overactive imagination, then they will be.
Right.
It's a very difficult. It's a beautiful form of mental mediumship. It's not I always tell students this. It's not the easiest form to develop, because there is this "is it me, is it spirit" syndrome. But you just say to the spirit world, well, okay, if it is you, prove it to me. And they will.
Gotcha.
And it's okay to say that. It's not disrespectful.
Yes. Thank you. You're live with Lisa Phoenix. I'm sorry we have to take another commercial break. My special guest, Minister and Medium Matthew Smith. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Your conscious lifestyle on steroids. OMTimes Radio. IOM-FM.
Hey ladies, do you want to have that good hair day feeling all the time? Gentlemen, would you want your special someone to have that glow, letting you know she's feeling completely satisfied? This feeling and that glow can be yours by embracing your sexual power. So join me, Rachel Kenley, award-winning romance author, on the O-Spot. The O-Spot will guide you to that peak with guest interviews, book discussions, and conversations on the thrills of sexual empowerment. Put the zing back in your life. Come up and see me sometime on the O-Spot, live on Hump Day at 10 p.m. Eastern.
Being a radio host on IOM-FM allows you to build your show on a rich platform with the power of the internet to fulfill your outreach goals and connect with a very specialized and global online audience, unlimited by time and distance. OMTimes Radio will provide you with web relevance, a recognizable conscious brand, and with the standard of excellence that has accompanied every single OMTimes endeavor. Host your show with OMTimes Radio Network. What if business could be fun? What if business is the adventure of living? What are you choosing? Where do you do business that makes it easier, more fun, or more joyful for you? We'd love to see where you do business. Connect with us on Instagram at Joy of Business or Twitter at Joy of Business, and share your pictures with hashtags BusinessDoneWhere and Joy of Business. Let's change the world with business.
The truth is, you can't change the world if you're broke. I know, I tried. Isn't it time you turned your life's calling into a profitable, freedom-based business? I'm Michelle Barr. Join me every Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern for Sacred Success.
The future of Internet radio is here. OMTimes Radio. IOM-FM.
Welcome back. You're live with medium Lisa Phoenix and my special guest, Minister Matthew Smith. Matthew, we are going to be having a special treat for people on the show next week, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We're going to do the first ever trance demonstration on radio.
Right. So we'd
first ever for us. It might not be
right.
the first ever in transmission history.
Yes, and we are going to experiment with you going into a trance state and answering questions that people may have. So everybody, I just wanted to ask if there's questions that you would like to ask Spirit when Matthew's in a trance state. Please email them to me at info at lisaphoenix.net. That's LISAPHOENIX.net. I just wanted to put that out there. Matthew, I also wanted to ask you too, because I know that you have a mentorship program, and I wanted to know, is that mentorship program, do you also do, I know you do mental, do you also do trance in that program? And if so, and how can people contact you?
Yeah, I do have some people that I'm helping with that stage of mediumship. What I do is I always arrange an initial free Skype call, because everything's done through Skype. And this initial call, free call, enables me to see if I can actually help the individual, or, if they say to me they want to develop trance mediumship, if I don't feel I can help them, I would say so.
Gotcha.
Because as a teacher, just because you're a spiritual teacher, it doesn't mean you can help everybody. There are some people that they're not right for you as a teacher, or perhaps you as a teacher for them, But there are people I have helped with trance speaking and trance healing. Trance communication isn't something that I've helped people with through Skype, but the other two aspects I have, as well as the mental mediumship. So if they go to my website, it's all the info's on there.
Okay, great. No, that's perfect. And also, so what would be your advice to people out in radio land if, they're looking to get into this form of mediumship?
First of all, why are they being inspired to do this? What is it that is driving them? If it's driving them that they want a career change, then I would say look elsewhere. They've really got to look inside to their own spirit, their own soul, to see why is this voice calling them, and then to find a reputable spiritualist church or centre, or someone they can trust who can help them. Because I believe if you're meant to do this kind of work, the spirit world will put the angels in disguise in your path. I don't feel that we really ever have to go knocking on doors. I believe there's a thread of events, and one aspect will lead us to another, which will lead us to another. And be patient. I mean, patience is very, very important, and being that healthy skeptic as well.
Gotcha. And do you advise people to practice like alone?
I wouldn't, no. And the reason why I wouldn't, because they need somebody with them to give them feedback afterwards. It's okay to meditate on your own. It's
or
okay
sit in the power.
To sit in the power of your own spirit and that of the other world on your own. But to go into the altered states, you really do need somebody there with you who understands mediumship, who understands what's going on around you, and they can help you and talk you through that process. because sitting on your own, you haven't got as much energy that you have if there are people physically sitting with you. And I have people on my mentorship program now running running circles,
right?
Not circles, but they're actually running circles through trance. Oh God, I get the words right in a minute. They're running circles through Skype.
Gotcha.
And that they're there to support and encourage each other, and that's in the active state of mediumship. But you need it even more so with the trance state because you're very vulnerable.
Gotcha. So it's a good idea then, once people get started, to look for maybe a development circle that they can be part of in their own community.
Yeah, but the teacher, they've got to really trust the teacher.
Right. And sometimes, you ask spirit to guide you, and then also sometimes, you might go through before you really find the right teacher.
Yes, and that happened to me. I mean, the first circle I was only in it 6 weeks. I didn't like it. I didn't understand what they were doing. So I left. But
right.
I just thought, I can't cope with this. It's nonsense. And I left. And about 3 weeks later, I was invited to go and sit somewhere else. And that was the place where the circle developed that I spoke of.
Gotcha. Yeah.
You've got to have courage.
Right. And you know what? If you go to a circle and it doesn't work, it's okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
I find people that like they feel bad because they don't resonate necessarily, and all their other friends are resonating with
and they think they're not being spiritual,
right? Or or what's wrong with them or something like that. And
it's just not the right environment for them,
right? And it's kind of like with everything else, you just need to be okay with that. Yes, and as far as people, for new people, but as far as people who are actually developing their mental mediumship now, is trance a natural something that they will go into necessarily, or is it just if they're called?
I believe it is a natural progression.
Okay.
Because there are two schools of thought. I don't believe mediums are made. I believe they're born.
Gotcha.
The same as Mozart was born. It's a gift. It's a gift within the individual. There will be others that will say to you, no, it's not a gift because God isn't selective. But I believe everybody has different gifts. We can all communicate because we're all spirit.
Right.
Everyone has got the ability to communicate to a greater or lesser degree because of the fact we are spirit living a human experience. But whether or not that leads to mediumship depends on the gift, in my opinion.
Gotcha. So, and I agree, because a lot of times it's just, I do agree that we can all communicate, but there is a difference between, the levels of communication.
Exactly.
Yeah. And so,
and I believe it is a natural progression, but if the individual does not wish to develop the trance state, then they don't have to.
Gotcha. And
I don't go to the there is a fully unconscious state. It's called the delta state. These states talk about brain waves. They don't prove the trance, but they just prove brain waves, the change in the brain pattern. But the delta state is the unconscious state, and I don't go to that level because I've told the spirit world I don't want to.
Gotcha.
So you see, you are in control of this.
Right. And again, I actually, honestly, I didn't know that people actually did go to the unconscious state to where the medium's not present at all.
Yeah, well, people say they do, but then as a medium, when you watch them, you think, well, they're not at all. They can hear what's being said. I mean, your hearing is your last sense to go when you die. And if you read a lot of the old spiritualist books, it will tell you about the trance states that the medium was fully unconscious. Well, with respect, we weren't there.
Exactly.
So we don't know.
Exactly.
But there is this train of thought with people that they think, oh, I've got to say I'm unconscious as I'm not in trance. And that's not true. You can be present.
Exactly.
You can hear what's being said. It depends on the level. Exactly.
And most people, I mean, at least in the trance and the quote unquote in America channeling I heard today, there is a part to them that is present, and they may not remember everything they've said or whatever, but they do remember.
You get wisps. I can only describe it as wisps. When I'm doing a trance demonstration, I will have vague recollection of odd words, but when it's happening, it's through me, not of me, if that makes sense.
No, it makes a lot of sense. And I just really think that's a good thing. And I think people need to hear that.
And also, not wishing to be horrible when I say this, but I'm not interested what's said.
Exactly.
Because I know it's coming from the other world and it's not for me to know.
Exactly. Matthew, I want to thank you so much for being on the show this morning. And thanks.
Yes, thank you.
And thanks for helping all of us understand a bit more about trance today. As I mentioned earlier to all of you out there in Radio Land, please visit Matthew's website, www.matthewinspires.co.uk. I want to once again thank all you listeners out there for hanging out with us this morning. Live with Lisa Phoenix is on every Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern and 10 a.m. Pacific. So please tune back in with us next week. Thank you.